So I want to talk about creating circles, something very, very simple. So I've turned off reference planes, I've turned off an axis system, I've got a geometric set called wireframe, I've got two splines sitting here. And let's say I would like to create a circle that's normal to this spline and the circle center will be at this point. How would I go about doing that? I want to show you two ways. One will be with a position sketch, and the second way would be with the circle tool. So either method is going to require a reference plane. So I'm going to create the reference plane in advance as opposed to creating it in context like sometimes I will. So I'm going to come down to my geometric set. This is just following my best practices. Setting reference, let's actually, I want to take it back. I'm going to leave it in the wireframe geometric set. I actually don't have a geometric set for references. Let me create that. So I'm going to create a, call this references. This is for the benefit of my students who are required to follow best practices. So I'm going to put a reference plane right here in this geometric set called references. So I'm going to get a reference plane. And so the subtype that I'm going to use is going to be normal to curve. And what normal to curve will do for me will create a reference plane perpendicular or normal to a curve through a point. And the point is going to be the end point of the spline, which is in this case happens to be a point as well. So I'm going to select this curve, and for the end point will be here. You can take that and define a ratio along the curve from 0 to 1. In this case, I'm just going to leave it at the end. So there's a reference plane. Very, very simple. One I do a lot. In surface modeling, that approach is something that's necessary as far as my students are concerned. So next thing I want to talk about, let's start off with a position sketch. So let's say we want to sketch a circle here. So if I just sketched on here and I didn't do a position sketch, I'll kind of show you what this is going to look like without a position sketch. So just a normal sketch tool. It's going to take me into it. There's my reference plane, but the origin, horizontal direction, vertical direction, is going to be projected from my default world center location. I can turn those reference planes on real quickly just so you can kind of see where they're sitting. Unhide them so you can kind of see how that's projecting out. I don't use those much in surface modeling, so I'm going to turn them off. So I don't want that. That's not really what I'm looking for, because I want my origin to be up here where it's more useful. So I want to cancel that out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the position sketch tool, and this is going to allow me to better define where my origin is and where in the direction of my horizontal and vertical axes. So the reference plane is going to be here, and for origin you've got some types that you can select. Implicit will be almost like not doing a position sketch. So most of the time I will default, not all the time, but a lot of the times, most of the time really, I will default to projection point, and that allows me to pick the point that's going to project to the plane. And notice how it is locating my horizontal, vertical direction and origin. Now I can be a little more refined about these directions, and I've got some tools. I can reverse the horizontal and vertical direction, so swapping it. Or let's say if I want my horizontal to go to the right and my vertical to go up, I can switch those around as well. So that's really what I'm looking for, horizontal to the right or vertical straight up. And so when it orients to the screen, you know exactly how it's going to orient. It's going to be kind of in that direction. So hit OK. Notice it takes me in that direction. I can sketch out my circle, provide my diameter in this case, and there we go, there's a circle. Too easy, right? So, but the key there is getting the reference plane where you want it, and the position sketch. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. So in my class, I'm going to erase this, delete it out. So sometimes I like for my students to not rely on that sketching tool. So I will many times and oftentimes in my surface modeling class require students to model profiles without using the sketch tool. So occasionally I'll let them use the position sketch tool just to get them used to using the position sketch tool, but oftentimes I'll go, okay, no sketches in this assignment. So in this case, this is an easy one because we can use the circle tool. So I'm going to come to the wireframe toolbar. I'm going to select the circle tool. Many sub options available here. First one I guess I should look at is you can do a full circle or an arc. In this case, I'm going to do a full circle. And many subtypes. So think about what defines a circle. You got a plane and point radius. You got 3 points to define a circle. Maybe a circle is going to be through a point and normal to a line. So lots of sub options if you think geometry of how to create a circle. And many of them are here. So you've got center radius. You got center and a point. The point defines the radius. 2 points in a radius. 3 points, center and axis, and that's where it comes normal to an axis. Bitangent and radius, meaning tangent to two existing arcs, tritangent. So geometrically, your usual suspects are here. So I'm going to do, just for simplicity, center and radius. So my center is going to be the same point as before. This requires support, which means how is the circle going to be oriented? I'm going to select this reference plane, but it doesn't have to be on the same plane as your circle. So in this case, I do want it to be because it's going to control, this plane is controlled by the normality of this, is made normal to my spline. So I want to make sure that, you know, this is what I select, but it doesn't have to be. And there's my circle coming in, and there we go. So that is a circle normal to a spline, and if that spline changes, that circle will of course change with it. Hope this helps. Thanks. Have a great day.